An alternative to using Google Docs for Cornell Notes would be using Google Slides. Let's take a look at a couple options here. So in this first slide, you can see it's a similar template to what we would have in Docs. We have a questions column and a notes column with different sections for each type of notes that we have. So we could take notes in here and then put a question related to those notes. Another option would be to have a separate slide for each note element. So here we've got just the notes and questions for one topic on this slide, and then you could just continue duplicating this slide for more topics. That's a choice that you'd have to make for yourself depending on your preference. Now when you're taking notes, let's just look at the one where we have multiple rows. We could take our notes the same way as we did on Docs and take advantage of all the digital annotations like underlining, bold, highlights. We could put our questions over on the left, as well as the reflection piece if we want to continue to combine those into one document. Then at the end, we could put the summary down in the notes section at the bottom. So here the summary would be down here in this area. This is the same strategy as a traditional Cornell note. It's just formatted a little differently because we're in slides. There are a few formatting advantages we have because we are in slides. So we can use some enhanced formatting. For instance, let's say we wanted to make use of shapes. If I click on the Shapes tool up here, I could choose this box, for instance. And let's say I really wanted to call attention to this section. I could draw a box around it and then take away the fill, make that transparent, and I am now annotating with circles, squares, boxes, things like that to call attention to things. I could also use my line tool, and if I had a touch screen, the scribble one would be particularly helpful, but I can use it on a traditional one as well. And here I can simply circle things. I can draw arrows to things using the scribble tool. Each of these scribbles essentially becomes a picture that you could click on and move as desired. If you want to get rid of it, simply click on it and hit your delete key. Because we're in slides, we can also add text boxes wherever we want on the screen. So I'll click the text tool here. I could click in there, and then I could write an additional note to myself. So this would be advantageous as you're going back and reviewing your notes at a later time. You can add anywhere you want, just as if you were writing on a paper sheet. We can do the same thing with images. So let's go over to this tab. Let's say I want this map in here. I could take a screenshot of the map, or I could save it. But because I take a screenshot, I can go right back to my slides and I can paste it in there. And now here I have a picture, and pictures can be good for your visual learners, so maybe I just pop that in as a reminder to myself. And then the nice thing is I can take my scribble tool and I can actually draw right on top of it. So I could circle Minnesota, for instance. So it's more interactive in that way than a Google Doc would be. I could do the same thing with videos. So let's say my teacher put out a video lecture and I just wanted to put it right in my notes. I could get the address for that, click Insert, and insert a video. And then if I put in the URL, I could search right in here as well, but if I have the URL, it'll take me right to it. I can click on it, click Select, and now I have a video that's embedded right into my notes, and I can resize that and I can have that there for quick reference later, and I could actually watch the video right within my note sheet. To watch it, I could either go in full screen and click on the play button, or I can double click on it in my notes view and it will play the video right within the draft version. We can use the comment feature as we did in Google Docs, but it's a little different in slides. So if I make a comment on basic strategies here, it's going to put a comment on the entire text box. So it's a little less specific than it was in Docs. That's why you may want to have your question column over here. However, you can add comments to any individual element that you've added. So if I want to comment on this map, I can click on that and I can add a comment right on that map. So this would be a nice review method again, so students can come back through and annotate each of these individual sections. Now since this is a separate text box, I could do the same thing on that. So this can be another helpful annotation method and a way to review notes another time. Another neat advantage of using Google Slides is that I could put an interactive table of contents on this. So let's say I want to build a table of contents for each of my days of notes. So I just created a slide, put a heading on it, and listed each lesson. So what I could do now is simply highlight the lesson, click the hyperlink button, and instead of pasting in a URL, I will click Slides in this presentation, and I can choose the slide of the notes I want to link to. When I click Apply, now that is a hyperlink to that slide. And when I click on it, it will take me there. I could continue this process then for each additional lesson that I have, and then I have a nice menu at the beginning of my slideshow that can quickly take me to each of my notes. So if we take advantage of this technique, if you look over on the left, we have the first slide being our table of contents, and then each of the lessons would follow and they would be linked from that table of contents. So here you could keep all of your notes for a course stored in one slideshow for easy access later, but each slide is then another lesson or another part of my notes in sequential order. If I want to use a template over and over again, I can simply right-click on it and duplicate that slide, and then the formatting will hold, and I can type that up for my next set of notes. So in summary, using Google Slides can be another great way to take Cornell notes, maybe a little less traditional, but also a bit more transformative because of all the additional features that we have because we are in the slides format. And we can take advantage of some of the multimedia and note-taking pieces that were not available in Docs.